It's Thursday, July 16th, 2015. Welcome to the Alien Invasion number 151, a production of Galactic Netcasts. I'm Dave Nelson. Joining me, as always, Mr. Brad Ludwig and Ms. Anessa Moyens. How you guys doing?
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Doing good.
All right. Anything exciting happened in the last week? How's the cats?
Not letting me sleep. Well, one of them is. She likes to just sleep in the window, and the kitten's like, I want to sleep on your face.
Of course, because that's what
Nibble
kittens
at your ear and paw at your head. So
It's awesome.
Because you're not, okay, you have to understand, Anessa, that you are just a plaything to that cat.
I kind of think that maybe it thinks that I'm its mother because it tries to suck my earlobe while it's kneading my head.
Yep, that sounds.
And I'm like, kitten, that's an ear. That's not a nipple. You're not going to get anything out of that but wax.
Yep. I had a cat that did the whole kneading thing for a long time into adulthood. Didn't do this ear sucking, but did the kneading thing, which was
And the kneading thing is fine, but
it's cute. It's cute but creepy at the same time. I don't know.
well, a lot of cats tend to do the kneading thing, like when you're petting them and they reach that, like, oh, hey, I'm happy, and they just start to do that a little bit. But kitten's like, I'm going to do that at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes with poopy kitten feet. Because I don't know what he does in his litter box, but he comes back with like kitty litter.
What kind of
He's done it
kitty
to me
litter
twice.
do you guys use?
Right now we've got tidy cats.
Do you use
It's
clumpable?
a scoopable. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
scoopable.
the
litter.
scoopable litter.
I never liked Tidy Cat because the granules were like too big almost.
Mm.
And they
What
would,
did you use?
and they would attach to cats' feet. I would use some other brand. I forget. Like, I wouldn't even spend that much on, like, I wouldn't get the expensive kind. I'd get just like the Walmart, like multi-cat, and it would work perfectly.
Yeah, because I'm like, hey, it's multi-cat and it's like $6 or $7. I'll go ahead and get this one. And apparently I end up with poopy kitten feet on my hair.
Yeah, try just keep trying different ones.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I didn't buy like the big mega-sized kitty litter just yet, because I want to kind of explore and see what works out best for our cats.
All right. Well, good luck
So-
with that. Kapla, as the Klingons say. Success.
And if listeners have any suggestions, feel free to send them my way.
Yeah, definitely. You're on Twitter at Moyens, right?
Yes.
Or you can just always email galacticnetcast@gmail.com as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into things. This is the podcast where we talk about extraterrestrials in all aspects of life, society, and the universe. Aliens in film, in TV, video games, comic books, science. I could go on, but I won't. The show is divided into 3 sections: the news, the sightings feature, and our picks for the week. If you want to watch us do the show live, you can follow us on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the Google+, and we'll send out like a notification saying, hey, we're live, go to this link, or just you can check us out later at youtube.com/galacticnetcasts or on the live page at gncasts.com. Before we get into the news, got to remind you guys again that we have a new feature on our website, gncasts.com. It is the Alien Invasion Report. So if you can't get enough of the news from the podcast, we publish it 2 or 3 times a week. Alien-related stuff, very similar to the news that we're about to cover. So it's at gncasts.com. It is the Alien Invasion Report. Let's get things on the road here and start it with the news.
In the news,
Brad, a big revelation this week. Tell us all about it.
It's pretty huge, and we've spoken about Rendlesham Forest before as one of the major UFO sightings in history, because it's something that both the U.S. and the British military experienced at pretty much the same time. Both have corroborating evidence, and this story just shows how much more evidence they actually have. Rendlesham Forest UFO sighting, new radar evidence could finally prove it was real. And this is from the Huffington Post in the UK. Former U.S. Deputy Commander Colonel Charles Halt told the BBC that he had gained written statements from a number of radar operators who were working at RAF Bentwaters while he was stationed there. Halt claims, along with several security staff who were with him at the time, to have seen the UFO land near the airbase in Rendlesham Forest, however, until now had no concrete proof. Speaking to BBC Radio Suffolk, the former deputy commander said, "I have confirmation that Bentwaters radar operators saw the object go across their 60-mile or 96-kilometer scope in 2 or 3 seconds, thousands of miles an hour. He came back across their scope again, stopped near the water tower, and they watched it and observed it go into the forest where they were." Holy cow. A lot of interesting stuff going on here. Dave?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I wasn't seeing. I apologize. I wasn't seeing your video. Yeah, a pretty big deal. And this base, the Bentwaters, was a U.S. Air Force base that was used up until 1993. So they had to do a little bit of digging, and they've gotten more information now to kind of confirm that more people had seen this and can corroborate this what happened at Rendlesham.
And it's a case that's very unusual for a lot of different ways because it took place over a number of nights.
Yes.
And there's multiple witnesses.
Yeah. And military witnesses, one. So, I mean, that holds some weight, but not just one country, not one country's military, but two. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's one of the most fascinating. I mean, if our listeners haven't seen anything or read anything about the Rendlesham Forest incident, you should. Don't walk, run, read about it, check it out.
But be careful if you run. Don't be running with scissors, number one.
Absolutely.
Or they could, walk briskly.
Walk briskly. Absolutely.
But still watch out for things like banana peels.
I have yet to see anyone slip on a banana peel.
Oh, me too. I got nothing.
No, but seriously, the Rendlesham Forest incident is covered almost on every single major UFO documentary series, movies, what have you, anything alien related that will come up because it's such a fascinating case. And I think if you want proof, not definitive proof, but as close as you can to definitive proof, that is the case to look at for
and just
visitation. Yeah.
Just to qualify your statement, any documentary done post 1980, will have that information.
Like Nimoy didn't have it on In Search of back in 1974.
Correct. Yeah, the incident didn't take place until December of 1980. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Hopefully we get some confirmation on this. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool.
I think I'm gonna get a book on the Rendlesham Forest.
Is there a certain one that you're after, Anessa?
Well, I think I had mentioned it a few months ago when I went to the UFO convention in Del Rio that they had Nick Pope there.
Oh, yeah.
And he was one of the authors of a book about the Rendlesham Forest. And he's actually going to be in my news story tonight. So, but it's not about the Rendlesham Forest. So something different.
All right, let's move on to from fact to fiction. And Fox shuts down. I saw somebody, was it you, Brad, that posted this in the Galactic Netcast group tonight? Yes, I did. Okay. So in case you're not a member of the Galactic Netcast Facebook group, go there. Just look up Galactic Netcast. We have a page and a group. I suggest the group because it's a lot more engaging. You can be part of a vast and great community as far as the group. But Brad posted the story. I will relay it to you verbally. Fox shuts down Alien fan film, and I can't talk after its plot treads too closely to that of Blomkamp's Alien 5. Of course, we covered both these stories, both the Alien 5 and this fan film. We had the story on this fan film not that long ago, right? It was probably within...
I think it was last week.
No, it wasn't that close. It was like maybe a couple months ago that we talked about this. Otherwise that, or I've totally lost it, which is highly possible.
You never know.
Fair enough.
A little bit of both.
Fair enough.
They can't do this fan film on Alien, as previously reported on this podcast earlier this year. Independent film company Sonnet Realm Films announced it was working on an Alien tribute film entitled Alien Identity. The film's plot was set 14 years after the events of James Cameron's Aliens, and would bring back Newt and Sergeant Frost from the original film. The film's production was going smoothly up until this week, actually, when Sonnet Realm Films announced they were halting production after 20th Century Fox issued them a cease and desist order. The studio has been supportive of fan films in the past, but it would seem that Alien Identity was treading too close to the plot outlined for Neil Blomkamp's upcoming Alien 5, which makes sense because that one is pretty much going to ignore, I think, Alien 3, 4. How many were there? How many actual real Alien films were there? I'm not talking about Alien versus Predator, but Alien 1, 2, 3, 5? No, 4, because this is the new one's Alien 4. Duh. Okay.
Boom.
So Blomkamp's film is pretty much going to be ignoring, I think, Alien 3 and 4. So that's...
Thank God.
Yeah. And this is and where this fan film was supposed to pick up was 14 years after the events of Alien. So that would put it in line with where Blomkamp is going to go with his. So that makes sense. But looks like Sonnet Realm Films is switching gears, and they are already developing a new sci-fi project known as Triborn. Currently, no release date is set for Alien 5. However, the plot for the film will take place well after the events of Ridley Scott's Prometheus and its sequel, and close to the timeline between Aliens and Alien 3. Yeah, it's too bad. I would have liked to seen that actress who we were talking about in that news story hadn't done anything pretty much since, the one that played Newt, hadn't done anything since Aliens.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess she'll have to go another 14 or another, how many?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right. That's your entertainment news. Let's move on to our final news story of the podcast. And Anessa, I guess you're going to be going back into the realm of what? I don't even know. So go ahead.
Conspiracy theories.
Oh, fun.
Well, yeah, kind of. This is a bit of a lengthy story. I tried to chop some of it out, but it still ended up being kind of lengthy because a lot of it I thought, ooh, that's interesting. So anyway, claims that photographs of an unidentifiable diamond-shaped craft were, quote, shredded by the Ministry of Defense, that is over in the UK, has propelled the little-known case of the Calvine sighting into one of the most controversial UFO mysteries in British history. Former Ministry of Defense, or MOD, UFO investigator turned whistleblower Nick Pope claims pictures of the Calvine UFO were not released to the National Archives, with the first set of Ministry's UFO files released in 2009, as should have happened. In August 1990, and this is a little background on the Calvine case. In August 1990, two hikers were walking in the Scottish Highlands close to Calvine, north of Paloctree, when the incredible aircraft appeared hovering over the remote landscape. And I apologize if I'm saying any of these names incorrectly. I'm sorry. Maybe Daryl is more familiar with how names are said in the Scottish Highlands. I don't know. But anyway, for about 10 minutes, they watched and took 6 color photographs before it sped off into the distance. The pair said during the incident, a number of military jets were seen making a series of low-level passes. At least one of the jets was also caught by them on camera. The men, whose identities are no longer known, allegedly took the camera to the Scottish Daily Record newspaper, who in turn allegedly sent the pictures and the negatives to the MOD. Pope was chief investigator for the team at the time at the Ministry of Defense and was investigating the UFO phenomenon. He says that the Defense Intelligence Staff sent these images to JARIC, that's the Joint Air Force Reconnaissance and Intelligence Center, or I guess JARIC is probably how it's said. Now, this is the UK's military center of expertise when it comes to imagery analysis. These intelligence personnel come to the conclusion that these photographs are real. It's a solid craft, and no one has the faintest idea of what it is. MOD UFO files, now with the National Archive, recorded that the images were scrutinized by the ministry, with the jet identified as a Harrier, and they were also able to spot a second Harrier in other shots. Pope said a blow-up of the best shot had pride of place on a wall in the department, and later went behind his desk as his rank grew with the MOD. He replied that it was the best UFO photo we had ever received. But Pope said that an internal cover-up over the image later began. One day, my head of division came in and he removed it. I don't know whether it was sent somewhere else for safekeeping or someone else on his behalf put it through the shredder. But whatever happened when the MOD opened its UFO files, questions were asked about that picture, and the answer was, well, we don't know. It's gone. It was after the head had convinced himself the craft was a secret prototype U.S. aircraft or drone, Pope said. But he claims that this was, quote, after we'd just received assurances from the appropriate U.S. authorities that they weren't testing anything like that in the U.K. Outside evidence of the photograph's existence has also disappeared. In July 1996, Don Valley MP Martin Redmond tried to get answers through a parliamentary question on the missing pictures. The MOD said a number of negatives associated with the sighting were examined by staff responsible for air defense matters. Since it was judged they contained nothing of defense significance, the negatives were not retained, and we have no record of any photographs having been taken from them. But strangely, in late 91 and 92, officials asked for detailed line drawings of the unidentified object to be produced, which were released with the files. It was taken so seriously, a memo was prepared within the department should any media inquiry surface. It read, "Such stories are not normally drawn to the attention of ministers, and the MOD press office invariably responds to questions along with well-established lines emphasizing our limited interest in the UFO phenomenon." It also noted that there was no record of Harriers operating in the area at the time and suggested the media should be told, quote, "No definite conclusions reached regarding large diamond-shaped object," unquote. And if you're in the UK and you listen to this or watch this before Friday, Conspiracy, a show, Conspiracy Alien Cover Up, is going to be on Channel 5 at 8 o'clock on the 17th. So, and if by chance you are listening to this or know someone who was one of the two people that took the picture, like the hikers mentioned at the beginning of the story, the express.co.uk would like to talk to you. So you can contact John Austin via john.austin@express.co.uk.
Man, that takes some guts to put your email address in a news article, because you know
Yeah.
he's going to get crackpots.
Yeah, and most people will kind of break it up, like add spaces into everything or spell out dot whatever. But he just flat out, here's my email address as written. So yeah, he really wants to find the people or the reporters that sent the negatives over to the MOD.
Is this is the Express is that the tabloid-ish paper in the UK, or is that one of the other ones?
I lose track which one's tabloid, which one's not. It says Home of the Daily and Sunday Express, and yeah, I don't know. Like looking at their main page, it looks like they've got a bunch of legit news because they talk about the shooting that just took place that killed 4 Marines, and it's got the story where the Aurora shooter over in Colorado was found guilty, and I mean it's got legit news stories on the front page. So
I got a feeling that Daryl will be getting a hold of us on a number of issues with this story, a number of clarifications, and
I mean, if he knows anything about it,
yeah,
please,
yeah,
call
definitely,
in, send an email. That would be great.
Yeah.
So, but no, I just I initially had thought about taking a story that Dave had said, hey, if anyone wants to take it about like the Klingon, but I saw this and I'm like, I really want to talk about this because I'm not familiar with this sighting at all. And I just think it's really interesting that the MOD got rid of this picture and is like, oh, we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Oh, let's draw something to recreate it. It's a little odd.
This sounds like what Roswell would be if it took place in a more modern era, sort of.
Yes. I can see that. Where more people had cameras on them, you know, because 1947, I don't think there were very many hikers with cameras. Nope. There might have been. But yeah, the odds in this day and age of something being caught on camera has grown significantly.
You mentioned Nick Pope in this story, and you mentioned him earlier. He is all over the place. Like, if you
well, because he worked for the Ministry of Defense, and his thing was kind of like the X-Files, investigating UFO sightings and stuff. And so when the X-Files came out, they actually gave him the nickname of Spooky after Fox's nickname. And so they kind of describe him as the Fox Mulder of the Ministry of Defense. And then since he's left, it looks like he's been kind of still doing his own investigations and writing books and whatnot. And this is one of the stories that he's talking about, is this image that he had blown up behind his desk, and one day he comes in and it's gone. And they're saying, oh, well, it wasn't a UFO. US had test planes going overhead, and the US is like, we didn't have anything going on over there. So who knows? But yeah, I since doing this show, I have seen his name a bit more out there, along with, I can't even think of his name.
Okay. This is your typical UFO alien related documentary series on cable television. You'll see Nick Pope, and you'll see the guy from Ancient Aliens.
Yes, but like online, I also see what is it, Scott Waring? We've mentioned him a few times in stories, and there's just certain names that keep popping up from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of interesting.
All right. So if you want to correct us on anything that we just talked about on any of these 3 stories, especially the British names, you can do so by emailing galacticnetcasts@gmail.com, galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. Call our voicemail number. It's 805-328-3966, 805-328-3966, or leave a message via the website at gncasts.com. There's a little thing where you can click on and actually record a voice message on the website at gncasts.com. Okay, let's move on to the sightings.
Please identify the craft you witnessed.
A black, triangular, 3-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering minutes.
Shaped like almost like between an egg and like a teardrop.
2 long cylinder objects flying over me.
We had a dome. I could see the occupants in
It appeared to be rotating, and it was circular and disc shaped, and it hovered for maybe about 5 minutes.
All right, time for sightings. famous UFO sightings in history. And I've heard of this one before. And speaking of documentary shows, I've seen this highlighted and featured on a number of UFO and alien shows before. And it's something that I guess you guys can relate to because you're somewhat close to the area where this happened. It's in the Midwest in the U.S. It's the Tinley Park sighting, or Tinley Park sightings. Tinley Park is a suburb of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And this is one of those unique cases of it being a mass sighting where a lot of people saw the same thing on the same night. And the stories are very, very similar. So here's basically the details of it. On a clear summer night, August 21st, 2004, over the Chicago suburb of Tinley Park. It was a nice night out, resident Bob Peterson recalls. Me and my son Tyler were on the back deck just hanging out when we saw them. They have come to be known as the Tinley Park Lights, 3 red orbs that have been floating across the suburban sky on at least 3 separate occasions. They usually float for a distance and eventually stop and seem to hover in a triangle pattern for as long as 30 minutes at a time. Peterson watched them for a little while. Being in path of planes flying in and out of Midway Airport, he was used to seeing objects in the sky. These were different, though. There was no noise. They were just literally floating real quiet and slow, he recalls. Hundreds of witnesses have come forward to offer detailed accounts of what they saw that night. Peterson and 17 other people from several Chicago suburbs managed to videotape the mysterious and unexplained objects. It was a mass sighting that cut across demographics, says Sam Moranto, the director of the Illinois chapter of the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON. Moranto notes the same pattern was later seen in New York and a day later hovering over Australia. After reviewing footage, Moranto is convinced they are alien in origin. There is something about them. They just don't seem of this world, Moranto says.
Bum, bum, bum.
So
we have a sound effect for that.
Oh, we did. Okay, let me do that line again. There is something about them. They just don't seem of this world. So I just love these mass sightings, and it seems like this always happens where, and I'll give another example, the Phoenix lights, which was something similar to this, but on a more massive scale. Like there was a number of. Are you guys both familiar with the Phoenix lights?
I've heard of them.
I've heard of them as well.
They were like orbs glowing in the night sky.
Oh, actually, wait, I have. I'm looking at images and I recall them from like a documentary or something I've seen.
Okay, for the people listening that aren't familiar, it was basically, I want to say back in the 90s, sometime, maybe mid-90s, over a night in Phoenix.
97.
97. A bunch of people saw these floating, glowing orbs in the sky, and basically they made a pattern. And they would blink on like they didn't all appear at once in a triangle pattern, but they would come on one by one and create a triangle pattern. And it was seen for miles and miles and miles by thousands of people in Phoenix. It's very similar. This case is very similar to that because I remember hearing and reading that there were other similar lights to the Phoenix lights that happened shortly after that were reported in other cities. So maybe it's aliens, the same group of aliens messing with another city, or it's maybe, another explanation is it's just people hear about the Phoenix lights and they want to see something else. So they think that they're seeing the same thing, but then again, it's a mass sighting. So a number of people are seeing the same thing. So who knows? Who the hell knows?
Swamp gas.
Yeah. No,
'Cause
temperature.
it's in Chicago, right?
Temperature inversion.
Yes.
No, there's actually Illinois Illinois is a hotbed for alien and UFO sightings.
I kind of think that, well, at least for the area around Chicago, a lot of that would be air traffic because you have O'Hare and you have Midway, and there's probably other little Air Force, or not Air Force, but like regional bases or airports as well. And if something's far enough away and say it's coming towards you, so you're gonna have kind of the headlight type thing shining at you, then you might not hear the plane and be like, oh, what's that? That's totally a UFO. And it's not gonna look like it's moved, even though it's been on the same course for like 5 or 10 minutes before it finally veers off or something.
In this case, though, they were 30 minutes at a time, and it happened a number of times. So I don't know if that's airport lights, because the people, the witnesses in the story, were used to seeing lights and sounds from the airport, and they said it's definitely not the lights and sounds from the airport. So what could it be?
Don't know.
Have we talked about the O'Hare Airport incident before?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so too.
So again, going back to the holy crap, Illinois, you have a lot of sightings.
Yes.
All right, you guys ready to move on to our picks?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, these are things that we have watched, listened to, read, played, whatever, over the past week that have to do with aliens in some way. And these are our picks, not necessarily recommendations, but picks, things that we have experienced in our life in the last week. And the first person to talk about their pick is Inessa.
Woohoo! My pick is a movie. It is a movie that was shot in 2012 or released in 2012 called Joker. And it is a Hindi science fiction comedy film.
A Hindi, like as in India?
Yes.
Okay.
It's mostly in Hindi, so there are subtitles, but they do have some English. Yes, there is singing and dancing at random times. But overall, like I enjoyed it. It was really cheesy, really hokey. The storyline was kind of like, what? But just I think because the characters and costumes and stuff were so over the top, like it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. So essentially this was the story is about a gentleman named Agastya, who is a scientist working in California on developing a system to communicate with extraterrestrials. And so just think of it as kind of like SETI, their version of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And he's been working on this for probably a couple of years at this point. And the people that are sponsoring his research are growing impatient. They haven't seen any results. And so they say, you have 1 more month to produce results or we're pulling your funding. And at the same time, he ends up finding out that his father in India is incredibly sick. He's dying. He's on his deathbed and wishes to see his son. And so Agastya ends up traveling to India with his girlfriend to a village that's not on the map, because whenever the British were mapping everything, the village where his family's from ended up being overtaken by the residents of a local insane asylum, and the village was burning down. And so the British guy was like, it's gone anyway, let's go. So they left, and so nobody really knows where this village is. But anyway, while he's there, he brings some of his equipment with him to do research if he can, because he's got this 1 month deadline to produce something or his work is gone. He gets no more funding. And it's a mixture of actual aliens and fake aliens, because the village, because it was never mapped, it was never included in a neighboring state. And so there's 3 states that border this one village, and none of them have claimed it as their own. So it doesn't have water, it doesn't have electricity, it doesn't have anything. And so he comes up with a scheme to try to get help for his village. I'm not really going to say anything else. I'm not going to give anything away, but it is a fun movie to watch. And it was on, I believe, Amazon Prime is where I saw it. It might have been Netflix. I don't remember. But yeah, if you don't mind subtitles and random singing and dancing and just a ridiculous little film, I recommend giving it a watch.
I have to say, Anessa, this is a departure from your usual movies that you included in your pick. The cheesy, I don't know, 1950. Well, Brad's more of a 1950s guy.
Word.
Yeah, but sometimes I do watch cheesy 1950s, 1960s flicks, and this one was cheesy Hindi sci-fi, and I've never watched sci-fi from India before, so I'm like, yeah,
Who could pass that up?
who can pass that up?
Yeah.
And I think I told Brad at some point, I'm like, I really hope this has like singing and dancing in it. And he later on asked, he's like, is there singing and dancing? I'm like, yes. So, but it's not like a ton. There's maybe 2 or 3 scenes where they break out into song and dance. So
I think it's a rule in India that you must have singing and dancing in your movies, right?
probably, but it's just so happy, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, give it a watch.
Okay. Joker.
It's called Joker.
Hey,
2012.
speaking of jokers, Jesse Ventura. He's a joker. He wouldn't call himself a joker, but I think most people think that he's kind of out there. Anyways, he's been hosting a show, and I heard about this show from my wife. She loved it, just for the crazy over-the-topness of it. And I finally got a chance. I was just going through the TV guide, the guide on the TV, the thing that you go through, that you scroll through. And I saw this. I'm like, oh my God, I hope there's aliens. Oh my God, there's aliens. It's Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, Season 3, Episode 1. It aired on November 7th, 2012. And the title is Reptilian. So Jesse Ventura looks into one of Time Magazine's top 10 ranked conspiracies that some world leaders and other influential people are really shape-shifting lizard beings from another planet who are manipulating the world in human form. Tyrell and Sean, that's his cohorts. I think is it Tyrell? Yeah, Tyrell's is his son, and Sean is actually the son of who did the JFK movie? Stone.
Which one? Oh, Oliver Stone?
Oliver Stone's son is Sean. It's Sean Stone.
Gotcha.
So those two interviewed a self-proclaimed hybrid, while Jesse reviews videos of alleged shape-shifting in progress, searches for a rumored alien base in Dulce, New Mexico, which was funny because they had like a sensitive with them, a psychic, and she broke down because the reptilians were trying to mask. What were they doing? They were doing something to cause her pain, mentally or psychically. So she was crying. I'm not insensitive to laugh at her crying, but the way she was crying, and I could tell it was totally faked. And finally, interviews the man who popularized the conspiracy. His name is David Icke. Yeah, it was entertaining, and it touched on a lot of things that we have talked about on this podcast before. Apparently, the reptilians go back to the Anunnaki, and I believe they were one of the first aliens that we ever talked about on this podcast.
Oh, the Anunnaki?
Yeah, Anunnaki, sorry. Anunnaki. Apparently, the reptilians are the Anunnaki, and they've been on this planet ever since they arrived thousands and thousands of years ago, but undercover because they, I don't know, they interbred with humans and they developed that shape-shifting ability. And the videos they showed were really funny because one was Obama, and you could see his eyes go from normal human eyes to slitted reptilian eyes. And there was another one of
Well, it wasn't one of his security guards, Reptilian,
yeah, I wish
or
they,
one of the servicemen or something.
I
Because
wish they would have shown that, because yeah, I remember that we talked about that incident on this podcast as well.
yeah,
But no, they didn't show that. I wish they would have shown that, but they just kept on showing people's eyes. How for a second they went from human eyes to the slitted reptilian eyes. It was very, very funny. So I highly recommend Conspiracy Theory, just the show in general, because it's so over the top, and this one in particular. And even I think I could tell that yeah, this is season 3, episode 1. So there was a big gap between season 2 and season 3, and I think they had to kind of retool. And I think maybe they changed direction in the show and decided to go more crazy with the conspiracies. And you can tell that Jesse was even like, this is almost too crazy for me. Like, he was like, really? Reptilians in human form? Really? So yeah, check it out. Check local listings or find it online. I'm sure you could find these episodes on YouTube or something like that. Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And this one was about the reptilians.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, it makes me think of the end of Weird Al's video, his parody of Royal. Is it Royal?
Foil.
Weird Al does foil.
that's right. I saw that.
So, but yeah, like at the end, he's like, from aluminum foil, wear a hat that's foil lined to probe your butt or read, or yeah, it's like to keep the aliens from reading your mind or probing your behind or something. So anyway, but yeah, Patton Oswalt ends up being a reptilian.
Nice.
Yes.
I think I saw that once. I totally forgot about it.
Should totally give it another watch.
Surprise.
So
All
anyway,
right, Brad, let's move on to yours. Yours looks intriguing.
It was. I've been doing a lot of Netflix lately, and I decided I was going to kind of tour through Hulu and see what movies that they had sci-fi alien-wise. And I found Battle New York Day 2, and this was done in 2007. The general write-up on this thing is aliens attack New York City, and as a group of ragtag survivors attempts to save themselves and what is left of the human race, the aliens' plan begin to unravel. The movie has a very interesting start. We are introduced to 2 female characters. One is wearing a lab coat and popping pills, and the other one is wearing a fall jacket, like a long sort of a woolish trench coat type jacket, and they're walking on a pier in New York. And I know it's New York because at one point the camera turns to catch their conversation and you see the Statue of Liberty. So, well, it could have been done by effects, but let me tell you, this was an independent film with not much of an effects budget. So they did not go back in and put the Statue of Liberty in. I can assure you that. The basic premise of the film is that the main character can hear voices, and she is very certain that she is schizophrenic, that she is crazy. And this doctor is, quote unquote, treating her, but not giving her medication. So right off the bat, we have a mystery. Throughout the course of the film, we discover that there are alien machines. And by alien machines, I mean think of wheels within wheels, kind of like the Ezekiel reference in the Bible, except the wheels are literally inside of other wheels, and there is a core, kind of an eyeball, like a reddish eyeball in the center of it. So then there's three concentric circles around it, and it rolls around New York, and it is looking for other humans. We come to find out that there are also nanobots in the air that are designed to take over humans and make them into zombie-like slaves. Yes, we are now in an alien zombie film.
Bum, bum, bum.
I was hoping it would turn into something like that.
I'm gonna have to watch this.
No. As I said, it's an independent film, so the effects of people being shot are definitely done poorly in a program probably like Adobe After Effects or something like that. Maybe somebody that doesn't know how to use Adobe Premiere that well. It's not done well. The storyline is a bit convoluted. There are plot holes, and so are some major films. I'll grant you that. But I don't understand. The core premise is that there are very unique humans on Earth, like incredibly rare, like 1 or 2 in the entire population of the planet, that can override these nanobots and actually control these zombies and are not affected by the nanobot infestation. Over time, all the humans who are not quote unquote alphas will be converted to zombie form and do whatever the hive mind aliens want them to do. And this is a precursor to a full-blown invasion of Earth to just plunder all of their resources. It's not good. I give it a star. Maybe, I know I wrote here 2.5 stars, and I realize that's out of 5. That's too generous. Upon further review in my head, I give it about a star.
That makes me sad.
It made me sad because I wasted an entire lunch hour watching this horrible piece of dreck. So,
piece of what, Brad?
Dreck. It's a alien. I think that comes from. That sounds
like Firefly.
No. I think that comes from Judge Dredd.
Oh, okay. Never heard it before.
Once again, Daryl Johnston from the UK can confirm or deny that. Judge Dredd is a UK character. Yeah, it's not that good. But if you have an hour and a half of your life to give away and watch an independent film, and as a filmmaker, if you want to see how not to do things, watch Battle in New York Day 2.
This would be a good movie to watch while you're like knitting or crocheting, so at least you're being productive and the hour's not wasted.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Was there a Day 1?
No. Nope.
That's a little...
Yeah, the title is kind of ridiculous. It makes you... And literally, I saw that and I'm like, oh, is this a sequel? And I looked and I'm like, no. I'm like, is there a second day? Well, yeah, there's a second day. I think that there's a third as well. So, I mean, Day 2 just really didn't... There's a certain point where I just didn't care if there were 2 or 3 or 100 days. It just...
just let it be over.
It sucked away my will to live. I watched this so you don't have to, basically.
All right. Like I said at the top, not necessarily recommendations, just picks.
Yes.
Difference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Brad. In review, we had... Let me scroll down here. Hang on. We had Vanessa's Joker from India, a Hindi film. We had Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, the episode called Reptilian from 2012, and Brad's pick, Battle New York, Day 2. You know, at first when I saw this title, I thought it was a takeoff, an asylum takeoff on Battle Los Angeles, but Battle Los Angeles didn't come out till like 2012 or something like that. So
yeah, and there's some confusion here. In Hulu, it says 2000. I can't remember. There's a conflict between what Hulu says and what IMDb says. So it either came out in 2007 or 2010. So either way, it's still before Battle Los Angeles, but
weird. Okay. Let's move on to, of course, we'll have the links to all of our picks and all of our stories in the show notes and on the website, gncasts.com. We got some feedback this week.
Woohoo!
Sweet.
Daryl from the UK called in a couple of times. Actually, I should have played this earlier in the show because the new Doctor Who trailer dropped, as the kids say, at Comic-Con over the weekend, and he got a piece of audio from it, and it's kind of funny by itself when you really don't. It's not really in context, but this is Peter Capaldi saying something. Hang on.
I want to kiss it to death.
that was our prom theme.
Yes. But we also got a message.
Take a drink.
Yeah, I don't even acknowledge that anymore. We also got a full-blown message from Daryl, and here is what he has to say.
Hi there, Dave. It's Daryl here from Imperial Steam Files. Joining you on last Alien Invasion podcast, Brad asked a question with regards how we accepted Peter Capaldi in the UK. Now, personally, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a little bit of a Doctor Who fan. So I thought I'd ask someone completely impartial what they think. What did you think when Peter Capaldi was first introduced?
Well, I think a lot of people were kind of dubious at first. A lot of people were a bit... because he was very different, and they remembered him from other shows, which I don't know if they got in other countries, where he was very sweary.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair to say. But how do you think they think of him now?
I think people are very fond of him now. I think he's gone down very well. People have been happy that he's moved away from the kind of the young, sexy Doctor to something a bit more mature and a bit more... not mature, a bit more... moved away from the love stories into the more sort of...
He's less kissy and a bit more sciencey.
A bit more sciencey. He's more nerd, less geek chic.
There we go then, Brad. I think that's the answer for you. Goodbye.
That was Daryl and his, what he calls his wifelet, Becca.
That's cool. Thanks, Becca. So, yeah, I kind of wondered, I remember reading an article where, there was the thought process that Doctor Who would become more science-based fantasy, like romantic fantasy at a certain level. And the complete change, I think, in the character of Capaldi's portrayal of the Doctor and the stories that were written, just such a complete gear grind, I think, in the momentum that they had. So it's good to have that answer and that outside view, especially from the UK. Telling you, it was our prom theme.
Okay, we got one more piece of feedback from RayHoy10 on YouTube. Getting a lot of feedback on YouTube recently. Which is
nice.
Awesome. Yeah, don't forget, you guys can, of course, email us, send us a voicemail on the number or through the website, or you can always make comments on our YouTube videos. And RayHoy10 did. He says, "Hi, guys. I love watching the show every week. Keep up the great work. Always great stories and entertainment. I'm in Australia, by the way.
Nice.
Also, could I have your thoughts on this video?" And he left a link, and I watched the video. And it is the video of the car going down the street or going down a highway.
Yeah.
You see the video, the camera point to the left, and there's a cloud. Or actually, I think they get out of the car, and they pan to this cloud up in the sky, and out of the cloud comes a UFO. And we covered this a couple of years ago. It was basically a promotional video for some company in South America somewhere, I believe.
I know it's from Sao Paulo, Brazil. But I don't remember if it was a promotional thing, because I know there was another one that we had watched where it was in the middle of the night and this person kind of disappears from camera and reappears or something as he's about to get hit by a car on a motorcycle or whatever.
Yeah, this is a different one because I remember it.
Yeah,
they released.
I remember seeing this one.
They released it, and then they released the next video, which was. There was more to it, and it turned out it was like a promotional thing for like a hamburger place or some fast food restaurant or something like that. I don't know.
Just a bizarre promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting video to watch, but I think once the UFO starts to become more and more visible from peeking out through the clouds, it starts to look more and more out of place. To me,
yeah,
in my opinion.
No, so. I agree. All right, keep those feedbacks coming. galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. Our voicemail number 805-328-3966, or hit up the website and leave a voice message through the website, or just do what Ray Hoy 10 did. Leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos, and we'll make sure that we mention it on the show. Also, if you leave us a positive review on iTunes or on Stitcher, can you leave? No, you can't leave reviews. You can only just give thumbs up, right? On Stitcher,
you can. No, you can. Well, you can leave comments.
Okay.
As well as give a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay, so iTunes and Stitcher, leave us comments, and we'll read those on the podcast as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show on those platforms. And other platforms. We have actually a subscription page on our website, gncasts.com, with all the options. Also on the website, you can join the Galactic Collective and be part of a vast galactic collective.
That's fairly succinct and to the point.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at, Brad. So yeah, do that as well. Everything we have going on, including the alien invasion report during the week at gncasts.com. Get involved and follow us on the social networks. And that's going to do it for this episode of the alien invasion. Of course, we end each show with final thoughts, and Brad always goes first.
That's
your cue.
It is my cue to say something. There's a video of something called a Katsuka. Gonna check it out.
Katsuka. Okay.
Katsuka.
All right. We'll have to talk about that more on the next episode. what it is. Okay. Anessa, what do you got?
Meow.
Good luck with that sleeping thing and the paw and the litter paw issue.
Yes.
Poopy Kitten feed is amazing, let me tell you.
Okay, guys. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Okay, bye.